I'm Mark Meckler, and you're watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Mark, and I'm Randy Hansen. In World News headlines today, Panetta says U.S. to end Afghan combat operations in 2013. And Romney says, I'm not concerned about the very poor. And Trump to endorse Gingrich ahead of Nevada vote. And thousands protest as Indiana reenacts anti-union rights to work law. And Arizona state senators introduce anti-union bills. In Washington State Senate okays same-sex marriage, and American Airlines to lay off 13,000 workers, and dozens killed in Syria clashes, Russia stalls UN measure, and at least 74 killed at Egyptian soccer match, and Julian Assange in final day of extradition hearing, and U.S. lifts military aid ban to Uzbekistan. And ACLU sues administration for drone strike records, and NRC says nuclear reactors in central and eastern U.S. face earthquake threats, and Occupy Wall Street protesters get Twitter subpoena. GVTV News would like to say the views expressed in our news broadcast do not necessarily reflect the views of NCTV Digital Media Center, but before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who support your only visual video news in Nevada County, us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, the Obama administration says it's hoping to wind down on the U.S. and NATO combat mission in Afghanistan by the end of the next year. Speaking to reporters in Brussels, U.S. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta said he expects the transition from combat to training to begin in the middle of 2013. Panetta's comments marked the first time the top U.S. official has floated a timetable date for next year to end combat operations in Afghanistan, but Panetta also added U.S. and NATO forces will remain in Afghanistan at least through the end of 2014, probably far longer. Republican frontrunner Mitt Romney is on defensive over comments in which he made is not concerned with the poorest Americans. Romney made the claim during an interview in CNN, but pressed on his statement, Romney tried to backtrack, saying he is equally unconcerned about the plight of the very wealthy. He said, I'm in this race because I care about Americans. I'm not concerned about the very poor. We have a safety net there. If it needs repair, I'll fix it. And Solomon O'Brien asked him, you said I'm not concerned with the very poor, but we have to safety net, and I think there's a lot of very poor Americans who are struggling who would say that sounds odd. Can you explain that? And Romney said, well, you had to finish the sentence, Soledad. I said I'm not concerned about the very poor and have safety net, but if there's holes in it, I will repair it. And O'Brien said, yeah, okay, I got it. Romney said the challenge right now, we hear from the Democratic Party, the plight of the poor, and there's no question there's not a good being poor. We have a safety net to help those that are very poor, but my campaign is focused on middle-income Americans. My campaign, I mean, you can choose where to focus. You can focus on the rich. That's not my focus. You can focus on the poor, very poor. That's not my focus. My focus is on middle-income Americans. Mitt Romney and other remaining Republican candidates are campaigning in Nevada ahead of Saturday's caucuses there. Romney's main rival, Newt Gingrich, is expected to pick up endorsement from real estate tycoon and reality television personality Donald Trump. Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels has signed a so-called right-to-work measure into law, making Indiana the 23rd state to enact similar legislation. Law prevents companies from requiring workers to pay dues or fees in order to join a union. Critics say the laws are meant to demolish unions and labor rights. Following the bill's approval on Wednesday, thousands of union workers held a protest march in Lucas Oil Stadium, where the Super Bowl will be played this Sunday. National Football League Players Association has opposed the legislation, calling right to work a political ploy designed to destroy basic workers' rights. Arizona Republicans have introduced legislation that would radically curb public employee unions in their state. A series of measures introduced this week would bar government agencies from collective bargaining with public employees, including firefighters and police. Unions would also be prevented from collecting dues through automatic deductions. And Washington is on the verge of becoming the latest state allowing same-sex marriages. On Wednesday, state senators passed a same-sex marriage bill, moving it to the State House, where it already enjoys wide support. A vote is expected early next week, and if the measure is approved, Washington would become the 7th state to legalize same-sex marriage after New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, Iowa, as well as the District of Columbia. Parent company of American Airlines says it plans to cut around 13,000 jobs. AMR Corporation is in the midst of major restructuring after filing for bankruptcy protection in November. And the death toll in Syria is mounting amid a standoff at the United Nations over the response of the regime's Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Opposition groups say at least 68 people were killed in clashes with Assad's forces across Syria on Wednesday. Fighting comes as Russia continues to oppose Security Council measures backed by the United States and the Arab League. The measure rules out foreign intervention but calls for transparent and free elections, a clause Russia says is unacceptable as it could impose Assad's forces removal. Forced removal. In Washington, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said Russia is on the wrong side of history and said the Syrian people themselves are the ones who are crying out for peace and justice, for dignity of their rights, for a better future. And every member of the council has to make a decision. Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of the Syrian people, or are you on the side of the Arab League, or are you on the side of people of the Middle East and North Africa who have during the past year spoken out courageously and often for their rights? Or are you on the side of a brutal dictatorial regime? Well, obviously Russia's likes that dictatorial regime. At least 74 people died in Egypt after violent clashes erupted between rival soccer fans in the northern city of Port Said. Egyptian demonstrators had scheduled to rally for a protest for the absence of police to prevent deaths. And WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is on the second and final day of the appeal before Britain's Supreme Court to challenge the lower court's decision allowing extradition to Sweden. Sweden authorities are seeking to question Assange about the claims of rape and sexual assault, though he had not been formally charged. On Wednesday, protesters gathered outside the courtroom to support Assange. Ben Griffin Rowland said, "You have to ask the question, if he wasn't the head of WikiLeaks, would he be going through this process? And I think the answer is no. I think there's a political motivation behind this case, and you know this guy is being persecuted for his war resistor work rather than for what happened in Sweden." Another guy said, "I think it was one hit in terms of getting people to think and getting to the truth and encouraging people to stand true to their principles, but I think it's a foregone conclusion, and I think he's accepted that he's going to end up in prison or worse, or suffer the fate similar to Bradley Manning." The Obama administration has lifted a ban on military assistance to Uzbekistan in order to preserve a supply line for the war effort in Afghanistan. Uzbekistan has seen reduced U.S. military aid in recent years amid widespread human rights abuses, including torture earlier this month, allowing the United States to provide non-lethal military equipment. On Wednesday, State Department spokeswoman Victoria Nuland told reporters the move will help Uzbekistan fight terrorism. The American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, has filed a lawsuit seeking the release of government records on the drone strikes that killed U.S. citizens in Yemen last year. The suit says the government has failed to adequately respond to Freedom of Information Act requests to disclose the information. ACLU also says the Obama administration has falsely claimed state secrecy privilege on the drone attacks, citing President Obama's recent public comments defending their use. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission is warning the nuclear plants in central and eastern United States face previously unforeseen threats from major earthquakes. The NRC says it has ordered new seismic to see if all 96 reactors in the eastern and central states can withstand the Earth movements predicted under a government model. Critics of the nuclear industry say the tests will only delay the upgrades needed to withstand earthquakes. News comes as the operators of Japan's earthquake-stricken Fukushima nuclear plant say they had contained a new radioactive leak of 8 tons of water inside one of their reactors. An Occupy Wall Street activist in New York City also revealed prosecutors have subpoenaed records of his usage of a social network site, Twitter. Malcolm Harris says Twitter sent him a copy of a subpoena this week seeking all his user information, 3 months worth of tweets from his account. Harris was one of hundreds of people arrested in October while marching on the Brooklyn Bridge. And that's it for the World News today. Now we'd like to thank another one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter and pictures in the blotter, not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Tuesday, 7:32 a.m. Caller from 300 block of South Church Street reported a man possibly high on drugs, knocking on a door and refusing to leave. At 7:44 a.m., a caller from 200 block reported a man lying in the middle of the road. 8:10 a.m., caller from South Auburn Street reported theft of a pole saw. 9:22 a.m., caller from 1000 block of Main Street reported a break-in to a garden shed. And 12:23 p.m., a woman from 900 block of Colfax Highway reported needing help because she had way too much to drink. 1:09 p.m., a woman from 400 block of South Auburn Street reported vandalism. And 2:12 p.m., caller from 100 block of West Main Street reported finding drugs. And 3:52 p.m., caller from 100 block of Neal Street reported a man was threatening people with a taser. He could not be located. 9:08 p.m., caller from 400 block of South Auburn Street reported a woman screaming for help. She had been having a verbal argument. And Wednesday, 1:02 a.m., a caller from 400 block of South Auburn Street reported a loud bass. It was quiet when officers arrived. Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Tuesday, 9:07 a.m., a caller from 14,000 block of Lake Wildwood Drive reported vandalism to a foreclosed home. And 10:54 a.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Raccoon Mountain Road reported theft of prescription medications. 12:07 p.m., caller from 14,000 block of Lola Echo Road reported fraud. And 12:25 p.m., a man from 13,000 block of Torrey Pines Drive reported lots of damage to a residence and possible theft. 12:33 p.m., a caller from 16,000 block of Brewer Road reported fraudulent use of a credit card. And 1:49 p.m., a caller from 18,000 block of Siesta Drive reported being punched in the eye. 5:11 p.m., a caller reported a physical fight. 2:14 p.m., caller from 13,000 block of Winding Way reported residential burglary. A person broke down a laundry room door and took 6 pounds of marijuana. And 3:17 p.m., caller from 11,000 block of Old Wood Road reported someone used the caller's social security number to open a Dish Network account. And 3:47 p.m., caller from 12,000 block of LeBar Meadow Roads reported identity theft. And 4:52 p.m., a woman from 11,000 block of Suzanne Way reported her husband took her diamond earrings and spit at her before leaving. She said he was using meth. 6:05 p.m., caller from 13,000 block Rattlesnake Road reported residential burglary with a house in disarray and jewelry and coin collection missing, including antique cameos. And 6:57 p.m., a caller from 18,000 block on Maury Lane reported the theft of a loom and topsoil. It was found to be a civil matter. 7:14 p.m., a caller from Storm Lane reported ongoing theft at a foreclosed residence with tools and outdoor lighting and fishing lures taken. And Wednesday, 12:33 a.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Tylerfoot Crossing Road reported a burglary in progress. Possible suspect was described as a man with extremely large ears, driving a very beat-up white Jeep. And 12:43 a.m., a caller from Blue Tent School and Blue Ridge Roads reported hearing multiple gunshots. And 1:04 a.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Forest Springs Drive reported a person was throwing things around the house. Previously had a knife. Woman was arrested on suspicion of battery. 12:35 a.m., caller from 12,000 block of Gale Lane reported a person looking in windows of a residence with a flashlight. In Nevada City Police Department on Tuesday, 1:56 p.m., a caller from Commercial and North Pine Streets reported open containers and drug use on the boardwalk. At 9:36 p.m., a caller from 700 block of Lindley Avenue reported a roommate threw a glass of water at the caller. Parties were separated. I'd call 911 too if somebody threw water at me. That's it for Police Blotter today. Now, we would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In local news headlines, 2 GV men arrested, and grant funding keeps resource officers on campus. A great program expands needs and community support. NEO Youth to present a national anti-drug conference. And today's first local story, written by Liz Keller of the Union. 2 Grass Valley men remain in custody in county jail after allegedly being stopped with drugs and blasting caps in their possession. Trevor Lee Warren, 35, and Trevor John Garrett, 28, were at a convenience store on Hughes Road when a Grass Valley police officer stopped them at about 2:20 p.m. Monday. Garrett had an outstanding warrant. Warren was wanted in connection with theft of a cell phone from a business the previous Saturday, said Captain Rex Marks. Officer found blasting caps in their vehicle that had been wires projecting from the container that could have been detonated by connecting them to a battery, Mark said. 2 baggies of methamphetamines allegedly were found, as were 3 hydromorphine, pills allegedly hidden in Garrett's sock. While being booked into Wayne Brown Correctional Facility, Garrett tried to swallow a pill that had been secured with a safety pin to his underwear, Mark said. A more comprehensive search then allegedly uncovered syringes. Garrett was arrested on suspicion of possessing controlled substance, narcotics, and bringing drugs into jail, possessing drug paraphernalia, and violating probation, as well as on the outstanding warrant. He's being held without bail. Warren was arrested on suspicion of second-degree burglary, possession of illegal explosives, and violating probation. He's being held in lieu of $11,000 bail. In a story by Trina Kleist of the Union, it was kind of a scene that encourages area police and educators. At Lyman Gilmore Middle School in Grass Valley, some 8th graders were fighting during the lunch period, but 7th graders who had gone through a leadership training course separated them, and by the time grown-ups arrived, students were talking it out, said Captain Rex Marks of the Grass Valley Police Department. 2 programs that promote good citizenship among youth and good relations between youth and peace officers will be extended for at least another year. But a 3rd program, the one that produced the scene of conflict resolution at Lyman Gilmore, faces closure at the end of the school year, local officials say. All 3 programs need a continued support of community to stretch thin funding a little further officials said. A program that keeps school resource officers on area campuses will continue through June 2013, thanks to local agencies pooling increasingly scarce resources. It's really exciting, said Marina Bernheimer of the Nevada County Superintendent of Schools Office. Resource officers offer a sympathetic ear and guidance when young people have problems, and they swing the stern arm of the law when necessary. One resource officer and one probation officer are already working the schools in the unincorporated county, and Bernheimer is budgeting another $97,000 to fund one more of each. She signed a contract Wednesday with the probation department for the second PO, she added. Another program that trains younger students in the leadership skills through the Great Summer Youth Academy will expand this summer to invite students from Penn Valley, North San Juan, Union Hill, Chicago Park, and Magnolia schools, Marks added. That program also has funding through summer 2013. The summer program costs nearly $58,000, Bernheimer said. Both programs are getting help through a 4-year grant, $1.4 million yearly, the federal Safe Schools Healthy Students grant, which Bernheimer manages. She received permission in December to extend grant funding to the School Resource Officer program, she said. The grant also funds anti-bullying programs in local schools and 3 family resource centers in the Western County. Any money not used at the end would likely be rolled up into a 5th year, which would be funded through the Safe Schools grant that would likely be reduced, Bernheimer added. Great Help needs a 3rd program, offers the GREAT program in a 13-week course during the academic year to 4th through 8th graders in the school in Grass Valley. It will run out of funds in June. The academic year GREAT program has been funded through the department, which has seen its budget steadily decline. It costs about $15,000 yearly to operate, but remains a priority because we're able to see positive and noticeable difference in the behavior of students and their engagement in their academic work, Marks added. The program's successes have officials eager to keep them going longer. They have kept them so far by cobbling together different grants and department funding. Sustainability is heavy on our minds. The Summer Youth Academy already has benefited from local support, including volunteers who help out and provided materials such as snacks for the children participating. We are looking for partnership in the community to continue the academic year GREAT program, Marks added. And as seen on the Lyman Gilmore Playground, it has been effective already. Officers in the city have seen a reduction of youth-related violence, truancy, curfew violations, and nuisance offenses such as loitering. We've seen a greater interest in being part of the prevention side than part of the problem side, with youth getting active and stopping drinking and drug abuse among their peers, Mark said. We are now a model, Mark said. The philosophy about the GREAT program at the federal level is they're talking about making it a component requirement. It's an evidence-based program. And the founders of NEO, a youth outreach organization in Grass Valley with a focus on healthy choices, will showcase the group's accomplishments at a national conference for communities Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. NEO coordinators and co-founders Haley Ellis and Lynn Skuckrud will be leading the presentation for about 200 youth from all over the United States at the conference that starts Monday in National Arbor, Maryland. They are hoping their presentation will inspire others to take action. Nearly 2,000 people are expected to attend the conference. Workshop is based on NEO's drug and alcohol prevention strategies that they've developed in Grass Valley and will include an overview of the NEO organization, event planning, information on root cause of drug abuse, and fun activities including a beauty walk. It's our turn to give back to what we hope inspire others to take what they learn and apply it to their communities, said Ellis, who worked with the Lyman Gilmore after-school program. Ellis and Skuckrud first traveled to the CADCA conference in 2009. The experience sparked a goal to share their message on national level. We have a unique and innovative approach to substance abuse prevention. I think that's why we were chosen to present, Skuckrud added. NEO strives to empower young people to make healthy choices through positive alternative activities. Last year, NEO hosted more than 80 events, activities, and nearly 7,000 people participated. NEO is an offshoot of the Coalition for Drug-Free Nevada County. 5 coalition members will attend the conference, including Program Director Ariel Lovett, Program Coordinator Shelley Rogers, and member Don Bessie. Ellis is a junior at the University of California, Santa Cruz, where she is studying sociology. Scuckride is a senior at Sierra Nevada College at Lake Tahoe, where she will be receiving her degree in management studies this spring. The two started NEO almost 4 years ago when they were 19 years old to help the Coalition and Friday Night Live. We created NEO to be a new way of thinking where young people identify the influences in their lives and create positive peer groups through healthy alternative activities. The article was first published at ncneo.com. That's ncneo.com. And that's it for local news today. Now we'd like to thank the Union, Associated Press, Amy Goodman, Reuters, and others for the sourcing of our news, and especially you for watching. Excuse me. You can watch this broadcast on Comcast Cable, NCTV Channel 11. I guess it's a frog. We also streamed at internet at NCTV's Digital Media Center, NevadaCountyTV.org, and GVTV.org. Don't forget, Grass Valley Television plays 24/7 on the net, GrassValleyTelevision.com. We post to Facebook, YouTube, Blip.tv, and many other sites. RSS feed, video podcast, and iTunes. Just search under video podcast for GVTV News. Content is controlled by the producer of this newscast, me, and Grass Valley Television. It is not necessarily the opinion of NCTV Digital Media Center or me. Grass Valley Television also videotapes local events around Nevada County, and if you have a need for video, you can contact us for more info about what's going on. GrassValleyTelevision@gmail.com or 362-8889. This show produced by Grass Valley Television of Rural County's television network. Talk to you Monday. Christopher's Old World Deli and Catering Company has brought its delicious food and service downtown Grass Valley. Do you like desserts? They got them. You like international style lunches? They got them. Christopher's Deli and Catering for parties, get-togethers, weddings, or whatever. Open 7 days a week. Bellstar Shop is a one-of-a-kind place you will find on the Ridge. Steaming hot coffee and a cool atmosphere with healthy food, organic desserts, and meals available. Belle and her smile will not be forgotten the first time you visit. Grass